Good morning.
Morning.
Welcome to Let's Be Frank. We've got another new face in the house today. We've got Mbali, and we're going to be chatting a little bit about the Leadership Alchemy workshop that some of our team participated in through SciCan last week, or on the weekend. And we learned some very valuable lessons about leadership and how to be better leaders, and it's all in line with our drive to be part of a leader culture at FiveFriday. So yeah, there's just a few of the concepts that we maybe want to touch on today, and there's a lot more to be spoken about. But yeah, so what did you think of the workshop? Let's start there.
At first, I thought it would be very serious and very like leadership, but as we dove into it, I think I learned more about myself that I actually wasn't aware of. So it was pretty good in terms of building self-esteem and things like that.
Yeah, so I was going to make the comment that so it was a leadership alchemy, and it is about leadership, but it's also about self-awareness and learning about yourself. And that's really, for me, the starting point for everything, whether it's leadership or just being better at what you do, or being, I don't know, being a better human, husband, father, wife, whatever roles we play. You know, it all starts with being self-aware and being comfortable with who you are.
Yeah. I think, we've spoken about this before, that even though we have a huge focus on teamwork and being part of a team is made up of individuals. And the really nice thing about this workshop was it started very individual, and you first did a set of tests about yourself to find out about yourself, and we had one-on-one sessions and trying to understand where we're coming from, and then seeing each other and understanding where our teammates are coming from. And I think it was very valuable lessons there. So
so that was another really interesting thing for me, is it's kind of how we arrived there as a bunch of individuals.
Yeah.
Kind of walked out there as a team, which just happened because of that understanding of the individuals, understanding them a little bit better.
So, what else did you learn that you want to touch on?
Or so many things. I really like that we had to kind of appreciate each other. So that broke that colleague kind of stereotype, and it made us a bit closer as human beings. So that understanding of people and being more aware of yourself and others around you, and how you can influence others, and just have a better outlook and perspective on situations, whether good or bad.
And so the things that are in your control and the things that are out of your control, and
definitely,
and what you can influence and what you can actually affect and change.
Because I'm usually very impulsive when it comes to reacting. So it just taught me how to better first look at myself and then react, to have a positive outlook or a positive reaction to a situation.
Or not to have a reaction to a situation.
Yeah, true.
You know, when it's completely out of your control, what's the point?
Yeah.
So even forcing a positive outlook, I think for me personally, is sometimes unnecessary. So the classic example that we always use is the taxi cutting in front of you in the traffic or whatever, you know. So there's no point in trying to fake a positive response about that.
Yeah.
But you don't have to have a negative response.
But I feel like even if it's hard to break those habits, now I'm just aware of, I could have handled that better.
Aware of your feelings and your reaction to the situation. I actually had a story about that taxi thing I didn't share at the workshop, but I was having a really bad day recently, and I was driving home, and a taxi did just that. But I was at that point where I was so fed up that I couldn't even react. So I didn't do anything. I just smiled, and I calmly slowed down behind him. And the guy actually apologized to me, the taxi driver. He said sorry, and I thought if I had ranted and raved and hooted, he probably would have flipped me off and reacted himself. But he actually apologized, and it made me feel better about how it had happened, and it actually made my day a little bit better, which was quite ironic, because usually a taxi cutting you off would make you pretty mad. But I think it is all about how you react and respond to situations that really influences the people around you as well. Clearly, I mean, this guy apologized, said sorry for stopping in front of you.
Yeah, which is rare.
So I want to go back to something that you mentioned earlier. You know, when you talked about how we arrived there, and the focus was on the individual, and that it was so different to what you expected.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder, where does that stereotype come from?
That expectation.
Where that expectation come from, that the moment that you're in a work-related situation, that things have to be different. Because amongst your friends or family, you would expect that to be the norm. Just people to respect you for who you are. I'm not saying it happens, but that is the normal expectation.
Yeah.
But why is it that people, once they come into the workplace, have a slightly different view on that?
I'm not sure. I just think it's something that's been embedded in us.
So for you personally, where did that come from?
I don't know. I think it's just kind of like a natural thing.
It's very unnatural.
I don't know where it came from. I think at FiveFriday it changed because it's a different environment. But in my previous work or jobs, it was very separated from home and work. So I think that's where I got that habit of thinking this is work and this is home, and none of that can cross each other.
Yeah.
Because it is something that we find very often in people joining our team. I think that a lot of the things that we do, our formula, our FitFo methodology, and the high focus that we place on the individual and being who you are, they kind of skeptical about that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a long time
Like
to break
for me,
down those barriers.
Yeah.
It took a very long time for me to actually
Be
break
you.
because when I first got here, nobody knew who I was. Nobody even knew that I was here. So I was that quiet and very...
And now look at you.
Yeah. And I kept to myself, and I thought, okay, I don't want to bother anyone. This is work. Just work and work and work and work. But after a very long time, I actually started coming out.
Yeah. And we really appreciate that about you and about all of the people in our team. We want people to be themselves, and that's kind of when you operate at your best, is when you're given that freedom to just be you. And I think it's a great thing about where we work, is that we can do that quite comfortably.
And I hope that others will take inspiration from you telling that story here. And obviously we hope that it'll encourage more people to understand that, this is really how we are, and this is really how we operate.
Yeah, it really is. Like, it's very...
I also really like that, like the leadership workshop, Saikan's workshop, kind of supports that, because it is very much about understanding yourself, understanding how you think, understanding how you react to situations. So it is very, very individual, and the fact that that's a leadership workshop, I mean, even for me, who's been working for a bit longer than Mbali and has had varied experiences in the workplace, it's just great to know that it's kind of the right thing to do, to be yourself and to work, to understand yourself and to work in that way, and not to fit into some kind of corporate box or whatever.
Yeah, please don't try and fit into
the bank box.
into any kind of box.
I was in that box and I just kind of jumped out. Yeah.
So I mean, you maybe want to touch on some of the things that we learned are really important, non-negotiables, things we need to focus on in ourselves to be the best version of ourselves.
Well, one of the states, there were 4 states that we spoke about: the disconnect, genius, and burnout, and baseline. I think the baseline for me kind of stood out because it was more about myself and how I can be a better person for the people around me. And that was 3 of the things that were in baseline was meaningful replenishment, non-negotiables, and other elements. So it kind of made me feel better that other people realize that the things that as a human being you have to do for yourself in terms of health and just being a better person and being in a state where you can work and you can separate and you can go outside of work, do things that you love, and come back not feeling like, oh, I have to go to work.
Yeah, and doing those things outside of work that you love will actually help and contribute to you coming to work more fulfilled, willing to take on more challenges, expand your horizons, get out of your comfort zone. Extremely important.
Yeah. Also that it's okay to get to work and feel some type of way and just be like, okay, this is how I'm feeling. I don't have to push myself and be so hard on myself if I don't finish something. It's not okay, but it's okay because at the end of the day, you are a human being. So we spoke about glass balls and rubber balls and how to differentiate the two. And that for me made a huge difference because I was like mixing them up.
Yeah. So it's kind of about prioritization, the things that are important to you and the things that you cannot drop and the things it's okay if you drop them, you can still pick them up again. Yeah.
Also that there is success in failure.
Yeah.
Because I'm very hard on myself. I don't like failing. But I'm getting to learn that it's okay to fail because you learn things from that and you become better at anything.
You must be open to learn from failing. It is the only way that we learn and grow from failing.
If you just succeed all the time, you never learn anything because it's too easy.
It also means that you're not doing much.
Yeah, I was going to say that's another thing that colourful block.
Yeah.
Let me help you.
Yes, there we go. So about high challenge and high skill.
So it's about getting into flow.
Yeah.
And where does flow sit in terms of your skill level and how versus how you challenged. And ideally, we would all like to be in that flow state all the time.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of effort to get there.
I was also going to say that.
But that's also where we find meaning, a lot of meaning in terms of how we feel about our accomplishments.
Yeah.
Because you only feel great about something if you had to struggle with it for a while and learned and had these little failures.
Yeah.
I don't really like to use the word failure simply because of the negative connotation to it. But through that kind of cycle of fail, get better, fail less, and then you get to that state where you feel, wow, I've got this. And then you can operate in flow until it becomes boring again.
Yeah.
Because you can do that with your eyes closed.
Well, then it
without
gets down
really
to
thinking,
your challenge level is lower. So your high skill, low challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me personally, there was a lot of validation in terms of that baseline state, and what are those non-negotiables?
Yeah.
What are the things that you really have to... So it's about the eating, the exercising, and sleeping.
Which have been themes kind of throughout our office for quite a while. People have been talking about these things and...
Yeah, so I've been talking about that a lot, and plenty eyes rolled at every time I mentioned that.
But you have... I've noticed you changing your eating patterns in the past few months.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah.
I really am trying, but it's still hard.
Sure.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
High challenge.
Sure. It will be a challenge.
Yeah.
But once you start seeing the benefits of it, which
Yeah.
I'm hoping you are starting to see.
I am, because I'm feeling a lot better. My body's feeling better. I'm exercising or trying to exercise a lot more. So that's good for me.
Okay, so you are seeing the
So it
benefits.
is positive.
I am,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm looking a lot younger.
There we go. So you see how quickly it actually
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
I want what she's having.
But it's like, you know, the analogy that I've used a number of times is about, you know, when you're in your car and you're driving and there's a light that comes on, a bright red light that says, I don't know, oil level low.
Mm-hmm.
Then our reaction is just kind of to find the nearest garage
Yeah.
and stop there and say, please check the oil level. And then you look under the car to see if there's oil dripping down. You don't just stop and say, well, put water in, because we know that won't work.
Mm-hmm.
You also don't say, well, just put air in the tires and hope that the red light goes off. But when it comes to our own health, our own bodies, we often do that. We know for a fact that going for, you know, a number of consecutive days with only 4 or 5 hours of sleep, it's going to catch up. We know that for a fact.
Yeah.
But we make up all these stories about, that's not what I have to worry about. I have to, in order to get me through, I have to drink some energy drinks, I have to eat some chocolate bars, and
More
it's just
coffee.
like compounding,
Yeah.
you know, rather than fixing.
Yeah.
And that was really important for me to see, and it's the first time that I'm in any of these kind of workshops or training scenarios that such a high emphasis was placed. Usually it's just about follow these steps, do more of this, you know, get shit done.
Yeah.
And this was completely different. This is, hey,
Self-love.
yeah.
And it was very much in line with what we believe as a company and what we try to advocate here is to kind of be self-aware, know yourself, and that we are all individuals in a team. And if we're going to be the best team, we need to all be operating at our best as individuals. So
Yeah, absolutely. So how do we make sure that this awareness that you have now, if we have another chat with you in 6 months' time, that awareness will still be there and that you'll be able to rattle off a bunch of benefits from sticking to this and taking this awareness that was created now into action?
Well, I think for myself is to actually practice the things that I've learned. Like I've noticed, yesterday I did my own triangles to see where I was. So that was one of the things that one of the coaches suggested to do. And I found that, okay, I'm aware of where I am in terms of my triangle. How can I change something to make this better for myself?
that's very great awareness to have.
Yeah. So not just to know these things, but to put them into action.
And I think also repetition. And I think we should all keep asking each other how we're doing and that. And
And what you know, where are you in terms of your triangles?
Yeah.
That's quite important because we know it's all about the repetition, but because it's about the individual, it's not necessarily something that we can put on a task list. We all have our responsibilities and things that we have to report back on in terms of work. But kind of asking you to report back on how much you exercised last week, you know, that starts falling. Maybe we should be a bit more strict on that. Maybe we should get people to report on that.
yeah.
Maybe we should, the eating habits and the sleeping. How much sleep did you get the last week?
Get everyone to get a Fitbit tracker and track their sleep.
So there are definitely days where I can see
Yeah.
that there are some people that, wow, you I don't even know why you're here, because clearly you didn't sleep or didn't sleep enough. Clearly your performance is below par. But people find it acceptable to put themselves in situations where they know I'm not going to be able to give my best, but I can get away with it. And we don't want that. Because it impacts on the rest of the team as well.
Yeah.
So surely those things will happen from time to time. But I think it'll be great if we can create more of a team focus on that. And we at the point now where people start going away on holiday, it is the end of the year. But when we come back, maybe that's something that we must chat about and put in place.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Hold one another accountable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much for joining us, Mbali.
Thank you for having me.
Having this chat with us.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'd love to have you again.
I'd love to be here.
Great.
Cheers.